Hello, good evening. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Richard. This is the special news show. It is Richard and Andreas Talk Awfc, and what a lot we have got to talk about again this week. Well, we're going to have to look back on that very, very disappointing performance and result against Aston Villa last weekend. How damaging is that going to be to our title chances this season? But it's also a big week, isn't it? Manchester City are the opponents tomorrow, another massive game. And then, of course, in midweek, we kick off our Champions League defence, Lyon. Now, we've played them quite recently, haven't we? We'll be facing them again. So lots and lots to talk about. So let's get into it after this. And of course, joining us as always is, of course, the Lord himself, Lord Andreas. How are you this week? Did you have a good trip to London?
Yeah, I had a good trip to London and a safe trip home. And after nearly a week, I feel fine again. But to be honest, last Saturday I didn't feel good, and I was so frustrated that we will talk about this. We have time to discuss everything, but it was really disappointing. And I think the worst performance under Rene, if we ignore the Brighton and Villa away games at the end of last season, these were special circumstances, but this was a game in a new season, in a new title race, and it was frustrating.
It was indeed frustrating. Ryan's Real Series says, come on, Man, you take some points off Chelsea. Of course, Man United played Chelsea tonight. It's just kicked off, I think. So we only got a draw there, of course, a couple of weeks ago. So let's see how Chelsea do there. 170 Gun says, this is a watch along. No, it's not a watch along. We're just doing our normal show. The watch along calls tomorrow for the Arsenal match. We'll keep you updated with the Chelsea score anyway. John says Chelsea 1-4, draw none, lost none, 4-10 against 2. Man United 1-3, drawn 1, lost none, 4-11 against 1. And then he says, oh, hang on, let me get me. He's a score draw written all over it 2-2. Well, that'd be nice. We'd take a 2-2, wouldn't we? John says, let's review last time. Play tomorrow. Exactly. John says, good evening, Richard. Oh, good evening to yourself, my friend. Good to see you. Guys, okay, we'll watch on replay after the United game. Well, we'll keep you updated with the score anyway while it's going on. But of course, this is the Arsenal women's show. So we're going to focus, of course, on the Arsenal women more than anybody else, aren't we? So there's only one place we can really start, and that is going back to, of course, that very, very frustrating, disappointing game last weekend. So, of course, we spoke about it on the show last week, didn't we? Having drawn with Manchester United, we had to win this game at home to Aston Villa. Quite honestly, we had to win it. But, we're coming up now, aren't we, to a year since Jonas left. And that performance on Saturday, it was like he's never gone. That was a very Jonas-like performance, which, we shouldn't be surprised about. I've said it all along that, Rene is a Jonas protege, if you like. So, obviously, there's a lot, but I don't know. I thought we'd got past that. I thought we'd got over that now. I thought, we knew how to deal with those type of games. And for whatever reason, I'm still not sure about it. It was such a flat performance, I thought. We were gifted the goal early on as well, which, we know we struggled to score first in games this season. In fact, that's the first game this season that we have scored first in. And I thought that's perfect. That's just what we needed. We were gifted the goal. Well, it kind of gifted it. It was our pressing kind of created the opportunity. Well taken again by Frida, who's in the goals again. And then you thought, right, okay, that's brilliant. Now we've got the platform here to go on and win the game comfortably. And that was how I felt it would go. But unfortunately, it never materialised. And okay, for large parts of the game, we had a lot of the ball, but it was very, very negative. And you could see the longer the game went on, the more and more Villa were getting into it. And, although the equaliser came very late, I wasn't especially surprised that they'd scored it. It looked like it had been coming, really. and that was down to our own failure to push on for the second goal. And I thought very, very negative substitutions, a very negative, I don't know, a negative performance all round. Really, I don't know. It wasn't like the Arsenal that we've seen under Rene so many times. I kind of agree with Andreas. It was probably our worst performance since that Everton game in the WSL. Certainly, obviously, the Bayern Munich performance away last season was obviously worse, but certainly in the WSL that probably was our worst performance if we discount those two games that, like we said, at the end of last season. And to me, it was like we'd gone back in time a year, and it was like watching a Jonas Arsenal again. And you know, although I never really had much of a problem with Jonas, as I know some of you did, obviously the improvements that we've seen mostly under Rene have been so much. And I was shocked really by what I saw. I was shocked by that performance because, okay, Man United wasn't fantastic, but I didn't think we played too badly. And the draw away is not bad. We'll find out tonight how good a result that is when Chelsea's game finishes. But that performance against Aston Villa to me just was not. It wasn't a performance of a team that look as though they believe they can win the league title this season. Look as though they believe they can win anything. I know it's only one game, and you could say, yeah, everyone has a bad game, this, that, and the other. But I don't know. It seemed deeper than that to me. It seems like there's bigger issues. Maybe the fact we started with two big wins has maybe covered over a few of the issues in midfield in particular. I mean, Andreas, obviously you were there at the Emirates as always. I mean, what did you make of it overall? Because we just never really looked ourselves, did we? Right from even getting that early goal didn't help, did it?
Yeah, it was a strange game because, as you said, it was the first time that we got the lead in this season. And I would say it was a gift from Villa. A pass direct to us in their box. And but maybe this early goal was not good for us because when Villa scored, everybody was thinking, okay, we are on our way and we will score more goals, and it's another game with 4 or more goals at home, as always. And maybe the girls thought the same. Maybe the whole team was feeling too safe after this first goal and thought, okay, we're going to win. It's 80 more minutes time to score, and the goals will come. And this feeling of being on the safe side with 1-0 up, maybe this was not good for us. It's difficult to say, but maybe if it was 0-0, 30, 40 minutes, we would have seen another performance, more concentrated. And after the game, if you see the after match interview with Renee, I've never seen her so annoyed and so directly criticizing her team. Of course, she didn't throw the players under the bus, but it was very direct, and she criticized everything and said that was not us. That's not the performance we want to show, and that's not what we have discussed before and what we wanted to do. So I think she was very annoyed with the performance, and something was not right in the team. And of course, the manager picks the starting 11 or picks the subs, and it's the manager who is responsible. But on the pitch, there are the players, and you can't say that every single player was giving 100%. No, it's difficult to say why, but too many players were a lot under normal level, and and then 1-0 up at halftime. Of course, there were chances, and in the beginning of the second half, we had other chances when the ball was blocked, etc. But it was never. I never had the feeling the second goal is coming. So there are so many chances. One will go in, and the second goal is coming. No, the longer the game was going, I had the feeling, Villa will score. The Villa goal will come. And if we don't score a second, we might lose 2 points. And when it was announced 7 minutes of added time, I had the feeling, that's enough for Villa. 7 minutes, they will score. And exactly, I thought they will have 3 more chances in these 7 minutes, and we have to survive 3 difficult situations. So the first was cleared. Then the second was this free kick when Daphne just could box the ball over the post, and the third was the corner. Once again, we had this in last season when there was a corner and we defended so badly, and Kim Little was the one who should head away the ball after a corner. And this time again, it was Kim Little nearest to the ball, and I mean, she's not the tallest player. We all know this. So there are others who should take the responsibility. The organization was not good. And what you said, the substitutes Renee made weren't good enough. 65 minutes, she brought 2 players. And then she waited until the 87th minute to bring on 2 more subs. Why waiting so long when you see today it's not working? Today we need a plan B. I said it very often in the last weeks. The good thing under Renee is we have a plan B. Against Villa, we didn't have one. And then she brought on Lotta in 92nd, 93rd minute. If you see we have problems in defending set pieces, then bring on another defender, a taller defender, but bring her on earlier. Lotta came in and just ran into the box, and it was not really organized. Maybe if she was on for 10, 15 minutes, the organization defense would have been better. So it's the manager, the tactics, the substitutes, but it's also the players who didn't give everything, who were not at 100%. Enough for me.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, Wayne says lackluster performance. Yeah, it was. That's exactly what it was. YouTube censors our free speech. Renee out. I think you've been listening to Terry a little bit too much. I think it may be a bit early for that. Wayne says Chelsea scored. Yeah, Chelsea scored early on in that game at Manchester United already. It's captain with a goal of 9 minutes. But we said there wasn't a comment before. It's going to be a goal scorer, high goal scoring draw. So there you go. Maybe that's the start of a few more goals coming in that game tonight. But Chelsea are winning 1-0 at the minute. YouTube, since our free speech, makes a good point there. Our women have to beat Man City. It's as simple as that. Yeah, we'll talk about that game a bit later, but I agree with you. I think we have to, or it's game over, really, especially if Chelsea do win tonight. Joe says too many players are too comfortable with their positions. At one stage, I felt it was passing training game. Just shoot, stop being fancy pants, wanting to stroll the ball into net. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I do think it's a little, that performance in particular, I wouldn't say it's just that particular game. That game highlighted it because we ended up conceding a goal and dropping points. But yeah, it's something that we've done too much anyway, I think, sometimes. YouTube Sensor Free Speech says the women's bench, unlike the men's team, are not bringing on similar quality of player. John says Man United 2 shots, 1 on target. Chelsea 3 shots, 1 on target. Still fairly even. Well, it's early days yet. Let's not panic yet just because Chelsea has scored. There's still plenty of time. Man United got some good players. I mean it's. I thought the substitute, more than anything, I thought the substitutions were quite negative. Yeah, okay, I could understand to a certain degree bringing Lotta on in stoppage time when you got a 1-0 lead to defend. It kind of made a bit of sense. It happened in the Champions League final, didn't it, as well? Similar kind of substitution. But I don't know, when you're at home to Aston Villa, I think you need to make more positive changes. You're right, the substitutions were terrible, really, I thought. You're 1-0 up. You need a second goal against a team like Villa. Bring Stina on. She might get you that second goal. If she didn't come on at all. Obviously, when it was getting later on in the game at 1-0, you're probably not going to take that risk and bring a striker on at that point. Although you don't win titles and you don't win big trophies unless you're prepared to take a risk sometimes. And obviously, we didn't take the risk, and we ended up paying for it. But yeah, I don't know. The whole thing to me, I don't know. It wasn't. It didn't feel right almost from the start. Really, it wasn't the performance, and that's the sort of game. Though Chelsea showed it against Leicester. You've got to dig it out and win the game. It doesn't matter how you win it. You just dig it out and win it. You can play terrible. You can be well off your game. It doesn't matter as long as you end up holding on and winning that game 1-0. That would have done. It wouldn't have been brilliant, and we'd have been sitting here probably saying it wasn't a great performance. But they're the type of games that Chelsea have shown week after week, year after year. They're the games Chelsea win. and they're the games that we don't win enough of. And again, we've dropped points. And I agree, you kind of saw it coming. When it was 7 minutes of stoppage time, you're thinking, yeah, they're probably going to score, because we certainly didn't look like we were going to score, did we? It's almost like we'd given up trying at that point. We were just trying desperately to hang on for a 1-0 at home to Aston Villa. I'm sorry, that's not really good enough. But I thought the point you made earlier was quite interesting. When you said about obviously going 1-0 up early on in the game, which isn't something that we've done. I can't remember last time we went 1-0 up that early in the game. I can't even going into the back end of last season. And did that have an impact, actually? I think it might have done, because maybe we did almost get a little bit complacent at spells in that game, thinking the job was done. And maybe sometimes, although we don't like it, maybe sometimes going 1-0 down, especially early in the game, maybe helps us, because it refocuses everybody. We seem to show more determination, and we're very, very good at turning those situations around. Not that we want to be going 1-0 down. We've been saying plenty of times we need to start well, get an early goal. And that's what we did, and it didn't work out. I'm not necessarily saying that was the only reason. I think there was a few issues with the team that day, and the substitutions and everything else. But what we've got to hope for now is just, okay, it's two fairly disappointing results back to back, although I still think the Man United result wasn't that bad. Overall, it's not a bad result. The Aston Villa result is just not good enough, and the performance itself is the issue, not only the results. So two draws back to back, 4 points dropped so early in the season, and Chelsea at the moment don't look as though they're dropping too many, do they? So it's not really where we expected to be, I don't think, at this point in the season. I look at our league position, we're fifth or wherever we are, and I'm not too worried about that right now. But what worries me is the fact that the Man United result, we needed a win, we didn't get it. The only thing you've got to do is bounce straight back in your next game, and you've got to show more positivity, more determination to win that game. And I don't think we did. We didn't do that at all. And yeah, Renee can mention the poor performance of the players, and rightly so. But she needs to take a lot of the responsibility as well, I think, tactically for that game. She obviously set the team up to play a certain way. The substitutions are all on her, and the coaching staff, not just her. And yeah, pretty much, I think it's a sort of game where, a bit like the Everton game last season, where all you want to do is just forget it and pretend it never happened almost. And unfortunately, the consequences of it, we can't forget what happened, because it could end up being a really, really important, an important moment in the title race. This early in the season, even, it happened last season, didn't it? Dropping points early on, and the title's gone, and you're playing catch up. And when you're playing catch up against a team like Chelsea, it's really, really, really difficult. And yeah, it's not looking great at this moment in time, but it's still early on, so we're not going to be too worried. Ryan says, should have brought Bon Matty. Well, I don't know. Colin says, good evening all. Have we been on a training pitch defending corners? We couldn't defend corners last year, and we still can't. Well, obviously, we haven't been practicing that enough, have we? Wayne's giving us some good news. United equaliser. There we go, you see. We said, didn't we, there were going to be goals in this game, and there has been goals in this game already. We've only played 20 minutes, and it's 2-2. It's Sandberg, actually, with the goal for Manchester United. So that's good, isn't it? And actually, when we played Man United, Sandberg wasn't able to get forward because Olivia Smith pushed her back and pushed her back and pushed her back. And tonight, obviously, she's managed to get forward and she's got a goal. So well done, Man United. You just need another 2 or 3 goals now just to settle our nerves a bit, and then that'll be great. Although, having said that, Man United are above us in the league as well. So, but anyway, we would rather a draw. I think that would be the ideal result, wouldn't it, really? John says, yeah, keep it even. Yeah, well, you said 2-2, John, so we're going to go with 2-2, but it's 1-1 at the minute. Looks like an exciting game, actually. So yeah, we have to learn from that, obviously, and we have to put it right, and we have to put it right straight away. And one of the reasons why we have to put it right straight away is because the next game tomorrow is another massive, massive, massive game. So, second away game in a row in Manchester, 2 really difficult away games back to back isn't ideal, and the fixture list hasn't been kind to us in that sense. But regardless of that, we can't worry about that. What we've got to do tomorrow is we've got to find a way to bounce back and win. We have won this fixture the last 2 seasons, quite dramatic games, both of them. Of course, last season was a 4-3 thriller. And of course, the season before, we got those 2 late goals right at the end to cost Man City the title. So we've got a decent record there in the last couple of years. We hadn't won there much before that. So, you know, we've turned that around. But this game now is not just, it's not just a normal, for me, it's not just a normal WSL game. It is now, as was mentioned before in the chat, we almost have to win. We almost have to win. And, you know, and when you're playing away against a team like Manchester City, you are a very, very good side with some exceptional players. That is not an easy position to be in. To have to go away to Man City and this early in the season, to, you know, particularly if Chelsea do end up winning this game tonight. But even if they don't, in fact, even more so if they don't, we have to win, claw them points back. But it's about how we bounce back. It's about the team selection, and it's about how we approach that game tomorrow. I think that's going to be key, you know, to how whether we get the result or not. I mean, Andreas, obviously, we've got to perform a lot better than last week. I mean, that much is obvious, a lot better. And it's going to be a totally different game anyway, the way Man City will play compared to our Villa play, stuff like that. But do you think we're going to be able to, first of all, turn that around and get the result that we need? Or do you think that we still might be suffering a bit of a hangover from the Villa game? And can we shake that off and go again and get that result that we need?
I hope so, but at the moment, I don't think so. I'm not too optimistic, and I think we are looking too much on Chelsea. Let's Man United win this game, then we are 5 points behind United, and 4 points behind Man City. Yeah, so it doesn't help us to look on Chelsea and say, if Chelsea loses, then we are back in the race. No, we have to win our games. And with 8 points after 4 games, and if we lose against City, then 8 points after 5 games, you can't say you're playing for the title. We lost four points in the first 4 games. Of course, it's difficult to play away at United. Yes. We discussed it last week and said maybe this is a point won and not 2 points lost. But after the Villa game, we have to be honest and say now we have lost 4 points, and the way we played doesn't give me much hope, because we were not pressing, not in movement, or it was also static and always passing backwards. What I hate are short corners. If you have a corner, then you have a big chance, and we play short corners, and from our corner the ball ends up at Daphne, at our goalkeeper, because we don't find open space, pass backwards, pass to the midfield, pass. Then the opponents are pressing us, and we have to pass back to the goalkeeper. And our throw-ins, every throw-in is taken by Katie McCabe. It takes 1 or 2 minutes. At least I had the feeling watching it. It takes much too long until she throws in, and then the ball is lost. Why? Because there's nobody offering any option for the one who has to throw in. And this is what I mean, too static, and not we are not pressing Villa. Of course, for the first 10 minutes we did, and we could score the goal from our pressing. But later we gave Villa every time they wanted to play, to open their game. And what we had to do, we were pressed by Villa, and there were all these long balls from Daphne, because she couldn't pass to anybody. There was no movement, no options for her. And this doesn't give me much hope for the City game. If you look on the City lineup, there is Bunny Shaw, there is Biff Miedema, Fujima, top players. And can we defend them? Can we score against the defense with Alex Greenwood? It's a difficult game, and the pressure is not on City, although they lost the first game of the season. The pressure is on us. Is a draw enough for us? I don't think so, and that's the risk. And what one of our viewers commented, there are too many players in our team that can that have their place safe. It's always 8 players, always starting. Of course, you don't change the defense if you kept a clean sheet against United, etc. Goalkeeper, 4 defenders, yes. Then there is Kim, there is Mariona, and the 7 players in the defensive role are safe, and Leslie Russo is starting, so it's 8. We have only the player on number 10 and the 2 wingers who are not the same every time. And maybe we should have rotated a bit more. Not 4 or 5 players rotating every time, but give others a chance. Now we are playing away at City. You need your best team, your best lineup. Then 4 days later or 3 days later, we are playing against Olympique Lyon. You have to bring out your best team. You can't rotate. And then 4 or 5 days later, you play against Brighton, and 100% sure Rene will rotate against Brighton on 4 or 5 positions. But then you bring on players who haven't got a single minute in this season, like Kyra, or played 2 or 3 minutes like Lotta. And then you rely on them and say, now you have to win against Brighton and give you everything. Bring them on earlier, give them minutes on the pitch. And once again, bring them on and try to change something. I agree that Stina could have changed something. Maybe Kyra would have found a pass. For me, Mariona wasn't good. She was quiet again, and we know how good she can be, but it's not about the past, it's about the present. And at the moment, she's not performing, so give her a rest, bring her from the bench, or let her rest for a whole game. Katie McCabe was very quiet in the game against Villa. Why not starting Taylor Hines? So I'm not too optimistic for tomorrow against City. We have the pressure, and as we said, a draw could be not enough for us. And for City, it's let's see. If it's a draw, they are still ahead of us in the table, 3 points ahead of us. And let's see.
It's such a big game for so many different reasons. Colin says Chloe Kelly wasn't here last year. Well, she was here for half of it, but who was assisting Leslie Russo last year when she was scoring every game? Because they're not assisting her. Well, they're not now. You're right. Angie Bill said, good to see you. See Chelsea. They want to score. It is 1-1 though, Anne, so don't panic yet. Anne says, I definitely didn't enjoy Saturday's game, but as always, lovely to meet up with Andreas and Greg. Absolutely. Joe says here, hang on, if I can get a comment up. My mouse is just playing up today. Right. What would your lineup be? Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Obviously, we know Rene doesn't like making too many changes. Generally, so I'm gonna go through what lineup I would pick, and it's not the lineup I believe Rene will pick because I don't think she will, but the team I would pick if it was me, obviously Daphne in goal. I mean the back 4, I kind of agree. I would obviously Emily Fox. You'd have to put Katie Reid in because she's been our best defender by an absolute mile. Steph Catley's been doing okay, so you pay her again, and I would actually give Taylor Hines a start at left back. Tomorrow, 100%, I definitely would. In midfield, Mariona doesn't work with Kim Little. It just does not work at all. So I wouldn't necessarily leave her out of the team, but I certainly wouldn't play her there. Kim Little, she's a captain. She'd be in the team. I suppose I would put her in the team as well. And maybe somebody like Vicky Pelova sitting a bit deeper, because I thought a couple of years ago before her injury she was playing that position and I thought she played that position pretty well. So I would put them two there. I'd put Mariona in the number 10 position. Then in the wide positions I would probably go with Chloe Kelly and Olivia Smith. And then obviously, I mean, I personally, and it does annoy me. What annoyed me last week was Leslie Russo. I'm not saying she's not a great player because she is a great player, but regardless of how well she plays, she gets 90 minutes anyway, regardless. I didn't think she was brilliant against Aston Villa at all. You could have swapped her with Stina, but no, Stina's the one who gets left out of the team after the week before. Leslie Russo gets to play 90 minutes every single week. So I would leave Leslie Russo out of the starting team tomorrow and start Stina up front on her own. She's got a great record against Man City. She's scored the winner the last 2 seasons there. And that's what I would do. It won't be what'll happen. Renee will start Leslie Russo 1,000,000% she will. And hopefully she won't start the 2 together as she did against Man U, because that didn't work in that formation. But Mariona's got to move her position. She's got to be further up the pitch. She's got to be further up the pitch. You cannot have her in a position that she's been in all season, because we're just not seeing Mariona. She might as well not be playing. If she's going to play in that position, she might as well not be playing. Either play her further up the pitch where she can be brilliant, as we saw last season, unbelievable player. Play her in the right position where she can be at her best and she can give her best for the team. At the minute, she's playing in a position that doesn't suit her. She doesn't look very happy there. She's not performing at all. So either play her in the right position or don't play her at all. I personally would move her further forward. But will Renee change what? Obviously, they've been working on this in training, the Kim and Mariona kind of midfield partnership there. They've obviously been working on it. They're sticking with it in the games. I don't think it will change. Personally, I would. That's not working. It's just not working. Stick Vicky in there. Stick Kyra in there. Stick somebody else in there. Anybody in there. I don't know. Just try something different, because it isn't working. It hasn't worked. And that's not going to suddenly change tomorrow because we're playing Man City. So I don't know. That's what I would pick. Andreas, what would be your team? Don't go with what you think Renee will do. What would you do if you was Renee tomorrow morning? What would be your selection?
Yeah, I agree. In the defense, I would change Taylor Hines for Katie McCabe and the rest unchanged. And then in midfield, I have Kim. Obviously, she's captain and leader of the team, but also she had a very good game. I think Kim and Katie Reed were, for me, the best players. So we need Kim in midfield. But for me, Kyra should get a chance. And it's Kyra and Kim together. And then the question is, Mariona on number 10 or Vicky or Frida. So too many changes might be difficult against such a good team. So maybe Mariona at number 10. But as I said, she should get a rest. And I would go for Vicky at the number 10 position, because she's not the natural number 10 or offensive part. She's playing it more defensive, and we are playing away from home. So yeah, I would try the risk and have the midfield with Kyra, Kim, and Vicky, and the attacking line would be for me also Olivia Smith, Leslie Russo, and Chloe Kelly, and then bring on Stina earlier if necessary, if we need a goal, and and then we would have the chance to react from the bench with Frida, with Mariona, with Mido or Caitlin, Stina. Yeah, let's see. That would be my choice, but it is far away from the lineup that Renee will bring on.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I'd like to think she does make a few of those changes. It would be great, but I agree. I don't think she will. I think it will be mostly the side. The only changes that's ever going to be seen to be made are going to be in the 2 wide positions. They seem to be the only players that seem to get rotated at the minute, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Caitlin Ford and Beth Mead, for example, or Chloe Kelly, who's been on the bench recently, maybe Chloe Kelly and Olivia Smith. I don't know. That'll probably be the only changes that we'll see, and they're not the only 2 positions you can change in the team. You can change any of them pretty much. And maybe that's what we need to start doing a little bit more, particularly when we're not playing very well. But yeah, I don't think Renee's going to make 3 or 4 changes at all to the team. I just don't think she will. And I think we'll see Kim and Mariona in midfield again, because she's almost invested in that now. I say they must be working on that in training all the time, because they keep playing in the games. They've got to be. And it's like, I think that they're too far down the line with it now. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think that will probably be where they start tomorrow. But anyway, let's hope that Mariona can play further forward, because that's where she's better. John makes a good point here. Do we raise our game and play better against better teams? Well, that's a fair point. You could say that seems to be the case, because generally we do seem to do that, don't we? most seasons, certainly in the last few seasons, we've dropped a lot more points in games that we would have expected to win. For example, West Ham away, we've dropped points there. We've dropped points away at Spurs in recent years. You know, we've dropped points against teams that we would expect to win and beat. And yes, okay, we still drop points sometimes against the better teams, but quite often we do raise our game. I agree. We do seem to play well generally against the better sides usually. And often it means we can get good results. So we've won twice away at Man City in the last 2 seasons. Although we haven't tended to beat Chelsea very often, we generally have played a lot better in the matches against Chelsea than we do in some other games. We've maybe been a bit unfortunate sometimes to lose. But yeah, I kind of agree with it. I think we do. And again, is that a mentality issue? It's easy to raise your game, to raise your performance in the big games, isn't it? Champions League final, all that kind of stuff, you know, brilliant. Of course you're going to raise your game. If you can't perform in a game like that, you shouldn't be playing football. But where you win and lose league titles is how you do against the lesser teams quite often, isn't it? You know, Chelsea don't often drop too many points in them games. We drop too many. And maybe you're right. Maybe we do raise our game against the better teams, and we need to do that. We need to treat everybody as though it's a game we have to win, regardless of the opposition. We can't just think, oh, we're only playing Aston Villa at home. We can have a little stroll about and still win. No, you can't do that in the WSL anymore. It doesn't happen. You've got to be at your best every week if you want to win. And that's something that we need to work on, that consistency level of performance and not drop off. I mean, Andreas, do you think it's maybe a mentality thing with that then? Because I agree. I do think we do raise our game against the better teams generally. Some of our better performances have come against the good teams, haven't they?
At least last season, this was the case. And is it a mentality problem? I don't know. Maybe it's easier to be concentrated against a top team when you know you have to be at 100% in each second. Yeah, we knew in the Champions League final or in the away game in Lyon, we knew there is no space for the simplest mistake. And then there are other games like we had away at Brighton or Villa last season. At the end of the season, it's we will score, and the time will be on our side. And this was the mentality in the Villa game last Saturday. Time is on our side. We will score. And we only need a second goal to bring it to bed. Maybe if this Villa game would have been Chelsea or United at home last week, maybe everybody would have been more concentrated and would have tried to get the second goal for us. And I don't know. That's a problem for the coaching staff. They have to analyze, and if they come to the conclusion that it's a mentality problem, then which player has these problems, and then change something, and not bring always the same 7-8 players that they know a week before I will play, no matter what I do in training. And the others know I can do what I want in training. I will not be in the starting 11. Just look at players like Lotta or Lakodina, Kyra. They know whatever I do in training, I will be on the bench. Jenna Neiswanger, I can do what I want. I will not be in the squad. And that's what I said. And then rely on these players. When you rotate against Brighton or other teams, it will be a difficult situation. And we will learn a lot about the mentality of the team in the next week, in these 3 games.
Absolutely we will. And we need to, if it is a mentality issue, we need to put that right, because you can't afford, especially now how competitive it is, you can't afford to switch off for one game, a half a game. And says there needs Stina with her runs, but not with Russo unless Stina comes on as a sub at a decent time. Yeah, a decent time, exactly that. I mean, sometimes being 1-0 up as a coach, it must be quite tricky, because you think if you overcommit and bring on too many attacking players, you leave yourself open to a goal. But having said that, if you're at home, you should be looking to take the game to the opposition and get the second goal, make those attacking changes, do it. But no, I say Stina's got a great record against Man City, especially away. I would start her tomorrow. I don't think she will, personally, because she started at Man United, and obviously she was the one. I thought she had a really good game, but she's the one who got left out of the team the following game. So I don't think she will start. I would start her because I think she seems to have good joy against Man City's defence. So, but anyway, Colin says there, from what Lord Andreas is saying, do we need a new goalkeeping coach? I don't know if the goalkeeper's the issue. Is it really? I mean, I know she was making those long balls, but I mean, I don't think that's a goalkeeping issue necessarily, is it?
No, I don't think so. Maybe what one of our viewers said, we should practice in training more defending corners or set pieces, but it's not a problem from Daphne. And what I said, that she had to play the long balls or the long passes, and often her long balls ended up at a Villa player. It's because she had no options where to pass, and that's when there is no movement and it's too static, and that's more the problem. Of course, it's good to have a goalkeeper like Daphne who can play the long balls and play out long balls, but not every time. If you do this every time, it's easy for the opposition side. They are doing this every time. Then let's press them, and we get the second ball in midfield, and then we can create something for us. Do different things, and that was also a problem, that we did always the same pattern. And I don't think it's a problem of Daphne or the goalkeeping coach. Too many problems at the moment.
It seems to be, yeah. It seems to be problems everywhere. Joe says there, regarding throw-in side, I notice on-field players don't present themselves to receive the ball. Yes, that's it. Exactly. Yeah, that's what we mentioned before. Joe says there, do you both think it's showing Rene's managerial deficiencies? Well, I think Rene's managerial deficiencies were quite clear last season as well. I don't think it's just now. I think you could see some deficiencies in that, lack of experience to a certain degree, and I suppose the fact that we had that fantastic run and won the Champions League, you're prepared to forget that a little bit and put it to one side, aren't you? And then you get a poor performance or a couple of poor results, and suddenly you start questioning the manager again. And that's natural, isn't it? I think as a fan, that's what you do. Every manager really, like a player, is only really as good as the last game, the last performance. And history's history, isn't it? Just because you've had big success doesn't mean that the deficiencies that are there now should be ignored just because we won the Champions League last season. And I think Rene has got deficiencies as a manager, definitely. Of course she has. Every manager has, I suppose, at the end of the day. No manager's perfect. And, we've said it before on the show that previously she seems to have learned quickly from mistakes and put them right. That didn't really happen last week. It has to happen tomorrow. She has to put it right tomorrow. They all do. All the players do. And maybe they'll have a point to prove because of that performance last week. Let's hope so. I mean, obviously, Andreas, Rene's not perfect as a manager. She's fairly inexperienced at a very, very top level. She's had a lot of success very quickly at Arsenal. But obviously, she's got deficiencies, hasn't she? And it's natural that she would have. But we can't allow those deficiencies to derail the season too early before it's really got going.
Yeah, I mean, it would be unnormal if such a young manager in her first real job at a big club is free of mistakes or does everything right. Of course, she's learning, and we said it often last season. She learns quickly, and she can put things right in the next game. And the good thing was we had always these two legs against Real Madrid, against Olympic Lyon. We had a second chance against Bayern Munich after this defeat. But yeah, the problem, or the problems from the United game, she hasn't learned from this. Otherwise, she would have put it right against Villa. And remember the last season, we were out in FA Cup and in the League Cup very early, and these were also games after which we said it was up to the manager. She brought on substitutes very late, or only one or two subs, and we conceded late in both these cup games. So yeah, she has to learn, and sometimes she doesn't do things right. For me, one problem last season also was that she didn't use the whole squad. It was nearly the same lineup in every game, and I was hoping that this will change now, because last season there was the pressure from day one when we took over. We were trailing Chelsea, City, United. We were on fifth place, like we are now, and it was difficult to come back to the top three. So yeah, and then in second half of the season there was Champions League, etc. This was also always an excuse for always bringing the same lineup, but she does the same this season. And yeah, we have a squad of 25, 24 players, I think. But Renee would need only 15 players. She's only playing 15 players from her squad. Why does she have a squad of 24? That's a question I would ask her, would like to ask her. Yeah, maybe these are the deficits she has, that she's not able to use the full squad.
Yeah, I think that's one of them, definitely. She seems to favour certain players, she trusts certain players, and maybe other players she doesn't quite trust enough. And I think it was a problem that we saw with Mikel Arteta, actually. It's only really been this season that we've seen rotation in the men's team, and it's needed. There's no doubt. That's what you can't. You don't win anything with just your 13 or 14 players. If you're going to be successful, all your players need to play, not only to keep other players fresh, but also if you do suffer injuries and later in the season you've suddenly got to throw these players in, if they've not played all season because they've been sitting on the bench, they're not going to be up to speed, are they? They're not going to be able to come in and suddenly perform at that top level when they'll be miles behind in terms of match sharpness and stuff. So it makes sense to not to make 6-7 changes every game, no, but bring players in, give players minutes, rotate sensibly. And that's something that Renee hasn't learned. She doesn't seem to have learned from last season to this season, as you said. And that is something that I think it has to be. You have to do that. You have to do that. No matter how great a player is, no matter how much you as a manager really trust the player in the team, sometimes you've got to leave them out. You have to. You have to give them a rest, not only for their own physical benefit, but to give somebody else a chance to be playing and more minutes on the pitch. So you've got to do it. That's how management works. So yeah, that is something that I think she needs to improve on. But yeah, obviously she's got deficiencies. Yeah, of course she has. And they're not just going to go away. What she's got to try and do is compensate for those deficiencies, and maybe her coaching staff need to help as well, and try to make sure that her deficiencies as a manager and maybe certain deficiencies in some of the players in the team aren't the overriding factor in what happens, because you can get through every team, every manager, every player's got deficiencies in their game, and what you've got to do is not allow that to be what defines the results. You've got to find a way around it, and that's what we've got to do, and that's what Renee's got to do, that's what the coaching staff have got to do, and that's what the players have got to do. Every individual player as well has got to look at themselves sometimes and think, you know what, I can do better. Ryan says, yeah, pull it over and little. That's what I would go with. I actually think that's a good partnership, me, but I don't think it's going to happen. LG says, this game has Stina 9, Russo 10 all over it. We can all see it coming. Even the Man City coach can see it coming. It's so predictable. Even Skinner said he saw it coming. I don't think that's going to happen, actually. I think the Man United game has made Renee maybe rethink that whole Russo in the number 10 position with Stina up through the middle. I don't know. I don't think that'll happen tomorrow. John says, yeah, treat every game as a cup final. Yeah, exactly. That's what you've got to do. Rendition says, who do we replace both Palova and Kyra with when they both inevitably leave with limited game time? Well, exactly. That's always a possibility, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. Hopefully it won't come to that. But you're right. If players don't play, they're going to want to go, aren't they? John says, just give players on the bench a chance. Quite often, like in the men's team, they outperform because they want to show how good they are and get to start in the next game. Stina on the bench starting. No, exactly. No, you've got to use your squad anyway. That's what they're there for. You know, you build a squad of players, and you know we've got all these players that we've got, and it's not like the players sitting on the bench. Sometimes you look at them and you think, oh, well, they're not very good. They can't do a job in the team. You look at them and think, well, actually, yeah, they're decent players, all of them. They can come in and do a job. You know, we've got a lot of options in lots of different positions. and we need to make more use of it. Absolutely, we do. But let's see. It's still early in the season. LG says the title was already gone in October last season. That's why you can't keep on dropping points early on when you're up against Chelsea. Exactly. Yeah, we said that before. You know, this season is looking already very similar to the position that we're in this time last year, and the whole point of Jonas going and bringing Rene in and giving Rene the job was that we were going to see improvements in that area. And yes, winning the Champions League. What I don't want to happen is the success in the Champions League last season almost like becoming something that, well, we can forgive everything else. It doesn't matter now. We've won the Champions League. No. If we don't push on this season and at least win something bigger than just the Subway Cup, for example, if we don't do that, if we end this season with nothing, it would almost been a waste of time winning the Champions League if we haven't built on that. And if we haven't grown and developed on the back of it. I mean, it was fantastic, and obviously we'll never take that away, but it will almost become a waste of time if we don't use that as a platform, which is what I thought we were going to be doing. We bought Olivia Smith in, the first £1 million player. We started the season looking pretty good, and what we can't afford to happen is the season just fizzle out. The WSL season just fizzle out, and I don't want us even to think, well, okay, don't worry about that too much. The league title might have gone. Let's focus on the Champions League again. No. Yes, we want to do well in the Champions League, and of course we do, and we want to try and win every competition. Of course we do, but we can't just let the league just fizzle out because, well, Chelsea are too good. We can't match them. Do you know what I mean? We need to. I don't know. We need to be sorted out, and I don't know. I want to see us do a lot better. I want to see us do better this season. And last season's WSL was gone far too early, and we can't do that again. We can't. We've got to keep, even if we don't win it, we've got to keep ourselves in it. At least make it look as though we've got a chance. You know, put some pressure on Chelsea. You know, put some pressure on Man City. Put some pressure on Man United. And last season we didn't really. We came second, but we never really threatened Chelsea at all. This season we've got to at least put some pressure on them as a minimum. Hopefully more. Jimmy says there, Man United playing good football. Well, Man United do tend to play good football. Didn't win against us, did they? Because we didn't really allow them to. LG 170 Gunner says Man United actually have a good team. They do have a good team. Yeah, they actually do. That's why I don't think a draw when we got there away from them was actually a bad result against them. I don't think it was. Obviously, last week's game was different. LG says, I've said it before that our wingers are being over-rotated, which leads to loss of relationships between the wingers and the fullbacks. Yeah, no, I agree. They are. That's the only position that gets rotated. And you're right. Unless you've got relationships, and also as well with a striker. If you've got a striker and two wingers that know each other's game, you're going to get better results, aren't you? When you're changing your wingers all the time, you've got the same striker, it's not going to be the same deliveries coming in, is it? Because they're all different. They've all got different attributes. LG says you can lose 3 games in the Champions League and win it like we did, but there is no margin for in the WSL. Losing 3 games in the league will likely mean you won't win it. Well, it'll almost definitely mean you won't win it. I don't know about likely. I don't think you can lose 3 games and win the league anymore. Rendition says our squad building is whack. We have 4 left backs and 1 right back. Well, yeah, it does seem a little bit over. Lopsided, the squads in places. Greg says all this depression talk, even though we played bad against Villa, at least we haven't lost yet. No, you're right, my friend. You're right. We haven't lost yet, and we need to keep some perspective. But the problem is, it's no good drawing loads of games if Chelsea are going to win them all, because that's not really going to help, is it? But yeah, I mean, I think last week was a terrible game, but tomorrow is going to be better. I can sort of. I think we'll play better tomorrow. I kind of agree that we raise our game against the better teams. We do. And I think we've got the beating of Man City. We've shown that in recent years. And I think we can turn in a really good... I think we'll play a lot better. I think we'll do well. But is it going to be enough? Can we go there and get the victory? Again, on paper, look at it and think, a draw away at Man City, you know what? That's not a bad result, depending on how the game plays out. But in normal circumstances, I would take a draw away at Man City pretty much every season because I don't think that's a bad result. But in the circumstance of where we are now, is it going to be enough to keep us in that race? Especially, I mean, it's nearly half time. It is half time at Man United. It's Man United 1, Chelsea 1. Could be points dropped for both of them two there. So in that circumstance, maybe a draw tomorrow, if that's how it played out, wouldn't be a disaster. But I don't know. We've got a chance potentially to claw some points back tomorrow. And I don't know, we need to find a way to do it, don't we? I mean, we need a score prediction, Andreas, first of all. We need a score prediction. What are you thinking tomorrow? Because it's going to be tough. We know that anyway. But in the circumstances now, even tougher.
Yeah. as I said, the pressure is on us, only on us. Even if we take a draw, then we are still 3 points behind City and 5 points behind the leader of the table, whether it's Chelsea or Man United. If they draw, then it's 5 points to them. If Chelsea wins, 6 points to Chelsea after 5 games. It's brutal, but I would say if we don't win tomorrow, then the league title is gone, and we have to, as always, as in every year, we have to concentrate to be competitive for the top 3. The WSL has only 12 teams, only 11 games in the first half, 11 in the second. It's not like the Premier League where you can lose a game or can drop points. If we, as I said, it's brutal. If we don't win, then we have lost 6 points in 5 games. No team will win the league who drops 6 points in the first 5 games. But at the moment, I'm not optimistic for tomorrow. I just checked the squad for Man City, and if I see Grace Clinton, Yuri Hasegawa, Sidney Lohman, Khadija Shaw with Miedema, Aoba Fujino, they have so much attacking power and not the pressure to must win. Just imagine if they score the first goal. I can't see us come back. We have to open and risk more, and then we will concede a second one. And unfortunately, this is my prediction for tomorrow. City will win 2-0, and we will all be more frustrated tomorrow evening. Maybe it helps that I say we lose, because last weeks I was so optimistic. I said we win away at United, we beat Villa. This time I say no, City will win 2-0, and for us, title race is over on Saturday evening. I hope I'm wrong.
I think we all hope you're wrong, but I don't think too many people would be surprised if that is the way the game plays out, unfortunately. And I think, if we draw or we lose, that's 3 games in a row without a win, and after 6 games, that's not enough. It's not good enough in the league. It's just not good enough. 5 games, sorry, in the league, it wouldn't be good enough. So I think a defeat tomorrow would be a disaster. Quite honestly, it would be a disaster. And would we be able to come back for that in a title race? Probably not. I agree. But let's see. Ryan says, let's be positive, 2-1 to Arsenal. We'd love that, wouldn't we? John said, need to capitalise on the opportunity if Chelsea and Man City slip up today. Well, yeah, either one of them or both of them are going to drop points tonight for certain. So we've got an opportunity to claw back some points on at least one of them, haven't we? But we'll need to win. Greg says, if anything, it was West Ham who let us down. Well, they didn't help, did they, by losing to Chelsea? But anyway, we kind of expected that, really, didn't we? Joe's gone 3-1 Man City. Wow. That's not good, is it? John says, Chelsea got 2-1 against Man City. We should be able to match that. They were at home. We're away, not quite the same, but yeah, hopefully we can. Jimmy says, I'll go 4-2, or 4-2 would be great. Greg's gone, we'll win 3-1 as long as Andreas doesn't meet the players before the game again, as he gave them the wrong advice last time. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I don't know. John says, I think after the last result, we'll really be on it and push for a few goals. I'll go 3-1 to us. That's good. I like to see that. LG says, I see a 2-1 Man City win, unfortunately. Bunny Shaw will be too strong for Reed. Well, I don't know. I mean, Bunny Shaw doesn't have a great record against us, does she? We say this every time. Greg says, City attack is nothing to worry about. As an Arsenal reject, and Shaw, who never scores against us, no. Well, yeah, Shaw has a terrible record against us. So, but they've got some great players, obviously. Hempo as well is a very good player, isn't she? Obviously, Viv, we know on her day is as good as anyone there is. So it'll be a tough game, it will. But I don't know. Until I see the lineup, it's a bit difficult to give a score prediction because I don't know what to expect from the team, really. But obviously, I'm going to have to predict that we win because we have to win, and I want to believe that we'll win. And I think we're good enough to win. We've got the players to win, and I think we can. I'm not sure if we will, but I'm going to go for it anyway. I'm going to go 2-1 to Arsenal as well. I think that we'll bounce back from last week. We'll have a point. We've got a point to prove, a massive point to prove. And whatever the result in the game tonight, Chelsea against Man United, we know that we've got a chance to claw some ground back on at least one of them teams. We have to take that opportunity. And I think we will. I think we've shown in a one-off game, we can get a result in a one-off game. We've done it lots of times in the last few seasons, and I think we will do it. I think we'll get the result. Somehow we'll find a way and we will win. It may be a little bit of a scrappy one. Don't care. I think we'll win it. Actually, just before we leave the Man City game, I just wanted to make a point about the ticket allocation that Arsenal got. 300 and something odd tickets, 335 tickets or something Arsenal were given. Now, I just think that's ridiculous. You know, for a team that has the away following that Arsenal have, and in a stadium that I don't know what the capacity is. It's certainly, we certainly deserve a bigger allocation than 300 tickets. Come on. I don't know what that's all about, but anyway, we need to start looking at proper away allocations for everybody in the WSL now. You know, especially for teams that can sell them like we can. Greg says they've got some good players, but we've got better. I agree. I do think we have got better. LG says Shaw has scored 2 goals against us, 1-1 draw January 22, and a 2-1 win for us in April 2023. That's not too bad of a record. Well, I mean, how many times has she played against us? She's probably played against us 8 times. And I think 2 goals in 8 games ain't that great, is it, for a striker who wins golden boots and whatever? You look at Sam Kerr's record against us. She scores virtually every time she plays against us. You know, she did. John says there, Chelsea, Man City game. Man United game's back on, chucking it down. Slippery ball, slippery surface, tricky conditions to score in. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it'll end up a draw. Ryan says, how many has Cena scored against them? Well, she scored a few, hasn't she, against Man City? She scored 2 seasons ago away. She scored 1 last season away. She scored a winning goal in a semi-final of the Continental Cup the other year. She scored the winning goal when we beat them 2-1 at Meadow Park when the goalkeeper, Kira Keaton, made that mistake. She scored then. So that's at least 5 goals there she scored against them. So her record's much better against Man City than Bunny Shaw's is for City against us. John says she scores the goal. She scores. Indeed, yeah, exactly. And I'm sure tomorrow will be a game for Stina, whether she starts or comes off the bench. I think it'll be a day for Stina tomorrow. And I think she'll score at least one of those 2 goals. And it'll be enough for us to win. Right, obviously we've got a Champions League game as well, but let's quickly go through the other games this weekend with our predictions just before we get on to the European game, see where we are. So obviously tonight, Man United, Chelsea. I know the games at half time or second half just started. I think a draw as well. Andreas, do you think a draw tonight?
Yeah, it will remain 1-1. Yeah,
that's what I think.
Chelsea won't risk too much for them. If they take 1 point at one of their biggest rivals, they will be satisfied with it.
Yeah, I think so. I predicted these scores earlier. I actually predicted 1-1 Man United Chelsea like this afternoon when I was doing them. So obviously our game we predicted. Well, I predicted Arsenal to win. Andreas has predicted Arsenal to lose. But anyway, hopefully one of us will be right. Leicester. Funny enough, the other games all look quite close games actually. Leicester at home to Everton. I think this will be a draw myself. What do you think, Andreas?
Yeah, maybe the 2 weakest teams so far. Yeah. For me, I think Everton has the better squad, but Leicester is at home, so yeah, it might be 1-1 or 0-0. Yeah, it will be a boring game.
I've actually got 2-2. I think there might be some goals in it. I think there'll be a few mistakes and some goals. I mean, it'll be an interesting game, but probably a draw. Obviously, the next one, London City Lionesses against Liverpool. Liverpool need some points, don't they, on the board? I think London City might win this at home. I think they're looking all right, aren't they? They've got some decent players. I've gone 3-1 to London in this one. What do you reckon, Andreas?
I say 2-1 to LCL. Yeah. The longer the season goes, the better they will find together. And at home, Liverpool so far very weak. Will be 2-1 to LCL.
Yeah, I think they'll win. LG says Hemp always scores against us. So I'm glad. She's not playing now. Yeah, she does always score against us. Yeah, we don't want her playing because she's good. Rendition says, don't jinx it. Chelsea going to win it now. Well, let's hope not. John says Everton slightly better, 1-0 to them. John's gone 2-1 to London City. Yeah, I think London City should win that game. Another interesting game is Spurs against Brighton. Two teams that have started the season. Well, obviously Spurs have had a really good start. Brighton are a decent team on their day, can get results against anyone. But Spurs at home, I think they'll probably shade it maybe 2-1. What do you think, Andreas? Do you think Spurs might win that?
Both started good in the season, but for me, Brighton has the better squad, and we have two players at Brighton, two Arsenal players, so I hope they will make the difference, and maybe a draw, or I'll go with my hopes and say Brighton will win 2-1.
Yeah, I kind of think Spurs will win. John's gone 2-2. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a draw, actually. I think a draw, I'm probably more tempted to a draw, but I just think Spurs at home will probably shade it. And the last game looks another tight one, actually. West Ham against Aston Villa, two teams struggling, really. I mean, I know Aston Villa played quite well against us last week. They did play well against us last week and ended up getting a draw. They'd probably think they can go to West Ham and win. I don't know. I think maybe a draw in this one as well, actually. There are quite a few draws this week. What do you think, Andreas, for that one? West Ham against Villa?
I saw West Ham at home against Chelsea. I was at Dagenham, and it was a terrible performance from West Ham in the first 30 minutes. Villa will win this, and I say 3-1 to Villa.
Well, yeah, I mean, potentially they could win it. You know, they had a good performance against us. But I don't know. I think West Ham might sneak a draw. John says West Ham on minus 12 against Villa. Villa to win 3-0. Well, yeah, maybe you're right. They have conceded a lot of goals. Obviously, we scored 5 against them as well, didn't we? So, maybe Villa will maybe snatch that one. Then maybe you're right. Right. So, of course, after Man City, depending on how we feel, depending on how the game's gone, we do start our defence of the Champions League, the new league-style format, slightly strange competition, which we did speak about a couple of weeks ago with the draw was made, and we kick off with a team that we met not that long ago. Of course, it's Lyon is the first game at home, which is a bonus, I suppose, to kick off with a home game, but probably is the most difficult game probably that we'll have in the group stage. Obviously a tough game. We did lose at home the last season's game. We lost at home to Lyon before going away and winning. That was at the Emirates. It was a semi-final, different sort of pressure, different type of game. Meadow Park with its kind of compact atmosphere and stuff. Although last season I didn't think we played that well at Meadow Park a lot of the time. Maybe the pitch didn't help on a few games, but I don't know. I think this is, really when you think about it, these next two games this week in particular could be almost season defining. If we don't get a result against Man City, we then start off the Champions League with a defeat. Yes, we lost our first group game last season in the Champions League, and look what happened. But I don't know. If we don't win at least one of these games, I'm going to start getting worried. If we don't win either of them, if we maybe have 2 defeats or 2 draws or a draw and a defeat in these 2 games, I will start to get a little bit worried about what direction the season's going in. Yes, they're not easy games. Man City are a great side. Lyon are a great side, one of the best teams in Europe. We know that. And it's not going to be easy either, these 2 games. But if we want to be taken seriously as a top team and we want to start winning trophies on a more consistent basis, to top trophies, we need to believe that we can get results in these type of games. At home to Lyon, at Meadow Park, in that little compact atmosphere, a ground, great atmosphere usually there. It's going to be a really good game under the floodlights. I don't know. I think the Man City result might have an impact on this game, if I'm honest. I think if we beat Man City, everyone's up, everyone's buzzing, and we can go out. But I think Lyon are going to be looking for revenge after that semi-final. They want to put that right because they'll be hurting. That would have hurt them a lot when we went to their ground and absolutely smashed them on their own pitch. They'll want revenge and they'll want to put that right tomorrow in midweek. So I think it's going to be even tougher than it was before against them personally. I think they've got a point to prove. And depending on how the Man City game goes, we're not exactly in fantastic form at the minute. And I'm a bit worried about this game, I've got to be honest. I don't think the timing of it is great for us. But, we said it before, we raised our game against a good team. We've done it before. And let's hope that we can do it again because we need to start, I think, in the Champions League, especially at home. we need to start with a positive result. Even a draw would probably be a half decent result against Lyon at the start of the group stage. It's more about how we perform and how we look as a team. You know, we are champions of Europe. We've won the title, and we need to show that we obviously we deserve to win it last season. You can't doubt that. But when you're defending a trophy, I think you've got to go out and show that you want to defend it in the right way, and you need to start well. And I think it's a massive game for us, and we need to show what we're all about. But it's going to be tough. I mean, Andreas, what are you expecting from this game? I know the Man City result and performance is going to have an impact. Of course it is. So it's difficult to predict this too much now. But it's a big game, isn't it? And we need to start well.
Yes, it's a massive game for us, and Lyon will have respect for Arsenal, and different to last season when they came to the Emirates and won 1-1, but they deserved to win there, and now they have something to prove because this 4-1 defeat at their ground, I'm sure it still hurts them, but they will come with a lot of respect, and it's Meadow Park. It's a different atmosphere, and I hope it will be sold out, although it's midweek. I'll be there, and it was not easy to get a ticket. After 19 minutes, all reserved seats were sold, and only standing was available. So let's hope for a good atmosphere, and we showed what is possible when we have this Meadow Park atmosphere. I remember the Bayern Munich game. We wouldn't have won it at the Emirates, I think. So let's hope for support and for a brilliant atmosphere. But the Lyon team is a very strong side, and their last two results last week, they won 5-1 against Paris Saint-Germain. This is their only real opponent in the French league, 5-1. And just checked today, they won their away game at Lens 8-1. Oh. And if I saw it right, there was Ingrid Engen was not playing, Lindsay Horan was not playing, also Jule Brandt was not in the starting lineup, and still 8-1 away. So they come with a lot of confidence, fantastic players. Of course, they lost Ellie Carpenter to Chelsea, but they got Ashley Lawrence in a swap deal. They got Ingrid Engen from Barcelona, and their midfield with Lindsay Horan, Elchie Dumornay, Igorola. Then in the attacking line, Brandt from Wolfsburg, Katoto came from Paris, Javinga, and still Hegerberg is still a good player. So a very good team, and it will be difficult. It would be great to beat them, but I think it will be a draw, 1-1.
Yeah, and I don't think a draw would be a bad result, actually. I don't think it would. You know, at home to Lyon in the first game, it's a tough way to start. But, yeah, I think if we've lost to Man City, though, I think everyone's going to be down in the dumps, and I think it'll be even tougher than it is anyway. But let's hope for a positive result against Man City, and then I think we can go into Lyon game on Tuesday with, you know, feeling in better spirits, and then I think we can get a result, and whether that's a draw or a win. But I'm kind of swayed towards a draw myself. I'm kind of thinking 1-1, 2-2. I can see there being goals in the game because there's a lot of attacking talent on offer. Meadow Park as a stadium tends to produce goals, I think, anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'll go 2-2. I think it could be an exciting game, and we'll get at least something from it. Rendition says this is a crucial period now. If we lose to City and Lyon, it will be crisis mode. Well, yeah, it will certainly. Yes. Put it this way, I think if we lose to City and Lyon, we'll almost be in exactly the same position we were last season when we lost to Bayern and Chelsea, and we know what happened after that. Not that I'm saying that should happen if we do lose these next two games, but we'll be in exactly the same position that we were in last season at this point in the season, and that's not what we needed, and that's not what we expected, and that's not where we should be. But let's see. John says very tough. Can we raise our game this time? Is a question. Could go either way. Absolutely, could go either way. We saw that last season, didn't we? You know that they were the better side at the Emirates, won the game. We went over there. We were the much better team, won the game deservedly, and went through. This is a one-off game in the league, totally different, which is why I fancy a draw, because I don't think there's much to choose between us. They've got some great players. They're a very good side. So are we on our day. So I think a draw. Joe says, are the games being shown on Disney Plus? Yes. What, the Champions League? Are they on Disney Plus? Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, because I think they got the rights, haven't they? So yeah, it looks like it is on Disney Plus. So that's on Tuesday, of course, the Lyon game that we're playing. So going to be interesting. It's going to be a great game. Of course it is. You know, it's two of the best teams in Europe going head to head again. And that's what the Champions League's all about, isn't it? So you're looking forward to that as well. But yeah, if we haven't got a result against Man City, then that is going to be a very, very tough night indeed. It will anyway, but even more so. Yeah. LG says, I think the last two games, Rene has been Arteta-fied. Well, yeah, it seems that. Certainly, I felt that against Villa. That was the most Arteta performance I've seen from an Arsenal women's team for quite some time. But yeah, maybe he's been spending too long on the training ground. Maybe they need to separate us. Maybe the women need to train somewhere else away from the men's team completely, so they don't pick up any bad ideas, any bad habits. But yeah, so let's hope that that doesn't last much longer then, and we get over that and we start turning the season around, because at the moment it's not what we were expecting at this point or hoping for. It's still 1-1, by the way. Man United against Chelsea, still 1-1. Man United apparently have hit the woodwork in the second half, so Chelsea hanging on a little bit maybe, but it is still 1-1. And I think well, that'd be nice for Chelsea to lose because they don't lose too many games, so it's always nice when they do lose. I wouldn't be dissatisfied with a draw at all, actually. Both teams dropping points would be a good result, but only if we win tomorrow. If we drop points tomorrow, then it's almost pointless happening, really. We need to win tomorrow, and if we do, then a draw tonight would be the perfect result, really, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. So yeah, it's a big week. It's a really big week, and it's such an important part of the season for us as well. Now I know it's so early on, and it seems like why are we panicking like this early in the season? But as Andreas said before, we know there's not many games in the WSL. You don't have the opportunity to lose 2 or 3 and drop points in 2 or 3 games and still end up winning the league, especially when you're up against a team like Chelsea that just don't drop points very often. They don't. So it's a big week. It is a very, very big week for Arsenal, and we need 2 great results. And, you know, although we were just saying that, you know, 2 defeats in these 2 games would almost be crisis mode, imagine 2 victories. Imagine what that's going to do. Imagine what that will do to the season. Imagine what that will do to everybody, you know. Beating Man City away, beating Lyon at home. What a week that would be. And we'd be here next week and we'd be over the moon when we'd be buzzing thinking we're going to do the quadruple if that was to happen. So, you know, they're the fine margins in football, aren't they? They are the fine margins in football, you know. And there's not going to be much to, you know, we could win both of these games or we could lose both of the games. And there wouldn't necessarily have to be much swing either way for that to happen, because there's not much to choose between the teams. Us and Man City, I think we're pretty much even with each other. I think us and Lyon are fairly even with each other. And last season, 1 win each. Man City and Arsenal, they knocked us out of the cup. We beat them in the league. It's that type of thing. And both of these games could go either way. They could both go in our favour and they could both go against us. And the margins for both of that could be so small. And they will be so small probably. And it's just, can we get on the right side of it? That's what we need to hope, because the whole season may well rest on it, actually. Rendition says, maybe the reason we drop points to these mid to lower tier opposition is players are too comfortable knowing their position in the team is safe, making it hard to get up for these games. Well, we sort of mentioned that a little bit earlier about certain players being comfortable in the team. And I think they are, because the team selections are backing it up, aren't they? You know, if you know you're going to play anyway. But that's not really the point, is it? As a professional footballer representing Arsenal, regardless of whether you know you're going to play the next game or not, your aim's got to be to win every single game. It's got to be. These are players playing for Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? They're top international players, all of them. You know, it shouldn't be a matter of, oh well, you know, I can't raise my game because it's only Aston Villa. I'd rather play against Man City and Lyon and Chelsea. No. You're a professional footballer representing Arsenal. You've got to be able to be up for every single game, whether you're playing every single week or you're on the bench and have to come on. That's got to be the mindset. And if there isn't the mindset, either that's an issue inside the club at the training ground that's coming through to the players, or it's just I think you look at these players, right? We've got players that have won big tournaments and trophies, at international level, at club level. We've got winners throughout this squad. So I don't think any of them would feel like that. Oh, I can't get motivated for this game. I don't think that's the problem, personally. I think the players are motivated because they're winners. They know what it takes to win big competitions. All of them do, pretty much. There's not many players in our squad. Okay, we won the Champions League last season, but there's not many players in our squad that haven't had success, haven't won trophies, is there? You look at them, they've all won trophies, haven't they? Somewhere in their career, either international level, at club level, or both. So I don't know. You don't win trophies like that if you think, well, I can't be asked to raise my game. I'm not bothered about this game. It's too easy. No, I don't think we've got that attitude in our team, personally. I do think the team needs to be rotated more, and some players need to be shaken up a little bit occasionally by being left out of the team. But we can't. We haven't. I don't think we've got players that have that attitude. I don't. Do you think so, Andreas? Do you think any of them players think, oh, I'm going to get picked anyway? Doesn't matter. We should win this game. Do you believe that? Do any of the players think? I don't think they do, because I think they're all winners, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm convinced that every player wanted to win against United or against Villa. Yes, but if you are sure you're going to start every game, so maybe you lose 1, 2, 3% in training intensity, maybe, and others who don't see a chance of playing, they might lose also a bit of intensity, and this is a small margin, and maybe these are the 1% that was missing in the end. If you see or look at the Chelsea squad, they have to fight for their place in the lineup every single week. There is so much competition and so much rotation in this team, and I saw them in their away game at West Ham. They were pressing from the first second, and everyone seems to be fighting for the spot in the lineup. And maybe this is a bit missing for our squad, that players are too safe that they will start, and others can be too sure that they have no chance to start. Even if it's 1 or 2% missing, then it ends in a game like the Villa game, where you miss the intensity.
Yeah. No. I mean, yeah, that I think that is true. Rendition makes a good point as well. It may not be conscious, but if you're too comfortable, complacency sets in. Yeah, maybe that's more. That's maybe more the reason, I would say. Maybe it's a subconscious thing. You know you're going to play, so sometimes that intensity does. Like you said, I think the margins now are so small that if you even drop 0.5% in your game, if 3 or 4 players in your team drop 0.5% from the level, you're going to find it hard to win against anyone, because of how high the standard is now. So yeah, maybe, but then that should come from the training ground, comes from the manager. They should be picking these things up. They should be looking at players and thinking that player's too comfortable, that they've become too complacent, and shake them up, leave them out of the team, pull them to one side, speak to them, say, look, this isn't acceptable, it's not good enough. And you might not be aware of it, but we've been watching from the side and we analyse the performances. So yeah, if the players aren't aware of it, the coaching staff need to be aware of it and need to do something about it. Absolutely. Rendition says there, we need our squad to push each other. Yeah, exactly. And I think they do. I think they do. I really do. I think in training, I think they're intense in training. I think they are trying to push each other. And I don't necessarily believe that there is a complacency, really, but sometimes some of the performances you look at and you think, what's going on? What has happened? Like last Saturday, for example, it's like, wow, where did that come from? So I don't know. There is obviously there's some issues there. I don't think they're majorly serious right now, but if this next week doesn't go to plan, then I think some questions will have to be asked. I really do. If we lose these 2 games or we don't win either of them, I think we'll have to start looking at a few things a little bit more and saying, you know what, these are problems that need to be resolved and need to be looked at and discussed, and hopefully the team and the manager will do that. But let's see. I'm still confident we're going to bounce back and have a good week. I think we'll beat Man City, and then that will take us into that Lyon game, and I don't think we'll lose to Lyon if we beat Man City. I think if we lose to Man City, then I would be really worried about Tuesday. I've got to be honest. I will be really worried about that game, and I can see us that getting away from us. So let's hope for the best and hope for a really positive week and 2 really good performances. And if we play well, we've got a great chance of getting the results that we need, quite honestly. So we'll see. John says there, maybe the drop is subconscious, like a mental block when we play the lower teams. Difficult to spot in training, only appears in the game. Yeah, that's fair enough. But I do feel as though if you're a manager and you know your players, you would be able to see if it's dropping off during the game. You would be able to pick. You should be able to pick that up in the analysis of the game, shouldn't you? If it's happening in 2 or 3 games, you should, as a manager and a coaching staff, they should be able to pick that up. And yeah, so maybe in training, you're right. Maybe it would be difficult to spot. But it shouldn't be difficult to spot in the match when all this analytics is going on. You know, they watch the games back 50 times, analyse every single thing that players do nowadays, don't they? Every single thing they do is analysed. So I don't think they can't miss it in games. I don't think it needs to be addressed. Whatever player it is, if it's Mariona, if it's Leslie Russo, if it's Kim Little, if it's Katie McKay, whoever it is, no matter what their status in the team is, if that's what's happening, it's got to be sorted out, hasn't it? You can't afford any player to be less than 100% every game. Yeah, you have to be. You can't afford not to be. Not for a club like Arsenal, anyway. But let's enjoy the week and let's see what happens. Ryan says it looks like the seats at the Emirates are comfortable if you're on the bench. Oh, they certainly are. I did a stadium tour a year or 2 ago, and they're very comfortable, the seats on the bench. In fact, the manager's seat's even heated. So in the cold, they just sit on a nice hot seat. So a bit like sitting in your car. So yeah, the seats are comfortable on the bench, but you don't really want to be on the bench, do you? You shouldn't want to be on the bench. If you're a top player, the last place you want to be is stuck on that bench. You want to be out on that pitch performing, especially at the Emirates with the crowd and stuff like that. Surely you don't want to be on the bench, but they are comfortable seats. Absolutely, they're lovely. The lovely seats actually in the stands as well, aren't they? The big padded seats. They've got a lot of room. The Emirates is a great stadium actually for that side of things. But yeah, we don't want to become too comfortable, do we? And I don't think that's really the issue personally, but let's see. It's all about bouncing back. It's still 1-1 Man United Chelsea in the last 20 minutes there, so time's ticking on. Is that going to finish in a draw? Which, yes, we would kind of like to think it might. So I mean, Man United seems like they're doing quite well actually, which is good. They are a good side. So I did say, didn't I, the other week, a draw away at Man U is not a bad result, and I'll stick by that. Whatever happens tonight, I think Chelsea, if they come away without a draw, I think they'll be happy as well, to be fair. So, you know, let's put our result into perspective. The Villa game, no, that's not acceptable. Drawing at home to Villa, no, we should win that game. The Man United game, not so much. Man City away is another one. A draw probably ain't a bad result, really, away at Man City, but we don't need a draw now, do we? Rendition says we need to hire pickpockets for the women's team. Yeah, or what's the latest one now? Is it an RAF fighter pilot or something they were talking about, weren't they? Giving a speech or something, I don't know, or training or something, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, maybe they need pickpockets. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Hopefully, we won't need all that nonsense. We can, we won the Champions League without it, didn't we? Let's be honest. So yes, it's been a difficult week. Let's be honest. Not the 2 greatest results that we wanted. Not great performance, especially Villa, but that's behind us now. We can wipe the slate from that and we can look forward to what's going to be a massive, massive week. Starts tomorrow, of course. Early kickoff again. Is it early kickoffs? Is that the problem? Because Villa was an early kickoff and we didn't get going. It's an early kickoff tomorrow, so we can't afford that to be a problem. So we need to be awake and up early and ready to go for that one tomorrow. So it's the early kickoff, 12 o'clock again. It's not ideal, is it? Let's be honest. But it is what it is. Assuming the game's still going to go on with all this bad weather that we're supposed to have overnight with winds and God knows what's going on. So let's hope the game does go ahead. I'm sure it will. An early kickoff. So I'll be here about 11:45 for that one. Looking forward to the game. It's a massive game, of course it is. So join me for that. We're going to have a think about next week's show because we're away next weekend. So I won't be here Friday, because we're going to Wales. So we might have to do the show Thursday, maybe. Would Thursday work?
Thursday would work for me, yes.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, we'll do it Thursday then, because obviously we can talk about the game on Tuesday as well. And of course, look at it, it's Brighton next weekend as well, another big game. So another busy show next week. It's all happening, isn't it? So make sure you join us for all of that. And hopefully next week we'll be here feeling a little bit more positive about life, a bit more excited about what we've just witnessed with the team, because last week was a little bit depressing, really, wasn't it? Let's be honest. I mean, Andreas, good to see you again. I'm glad. Obviously, just before we go, so the vlog last week, you have to say the players arriving at the stadium. Gunnosaurus doing his thing, just incredible. And of course, Greg as well, making an appearance as always. Just fantastic stuff. So if you haven't watched that yet, do check that out, because it is fantastic, as it always is. And that was extra special, wasn't it, to have that little extra bit at the beginning there, with the players arriving on the bus and stuff like that, and seeing them getting into the stadium. That was really good. So that was really excellent. So I really, really enjoyed that. So you give that a watch if you haven't done so already. It deserves to get millions and millions of views. That does. But and Gunnosaurus was funny as well, wasn't he? So that's always good. We do love a bit of Gunnosaurus on this show. Andreas, it's good to have you back in. You enjoyed the show. Obviously, not the most exciting, upbeat show this week, but it is what it is. Hopefully, next week we can be a bit more happy.
Of course, I enjoyed being part of the show, and it's always easier to talk after a big win than when you have to discuss two games that didn't went the way you wanted it. It's difficult, but I think it helps to share the frustration and to talk about it and find the reasons for the bad performance. And I think we did this, and with the comments from the viewers, very interesting. So I enjoyed being on the show, and I'm looking forward to hopefully better games. And the next vlog will be from Meadow Park.
Oh, of course, yes, Lyon on Tuesday. That is going to be excellent. That's going to be exciting as well, isn't it? I do love a good Meadow Park vlog. I've got to say, I love Meadow Park, and obviously we're not going to be playing it very often this season, so it'd be nice to get some Meadow Park stuff on as well for a change. That would be nice as well. So we look forward to that one. And of course, I say we'll be here Thursday for this show next week, which is going to be good as well, I'm sure. We've got a comment there from Jimmy, says, great chat all here from across the pond. Love all the info. Oh, good to have you with us, my friend. Indeed. LG says there, Arteta has employed RAF fighter pilots to improve communication with players. Oh, is that what it is? I read something about RAF fighter pilots. I didn't actually read the article because I saw it and thought that is just nonsense. But there you go. That's Arteta's he's a bit of a psychologist, isn't he? A little bit going on there with him. Anyway, if the team keep winning, I suppose that you have to say it's working. But anyway, let's see how that plays out. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow, of course, at 11:45 with the game, Man City, a massive game. Please join me for that, because it's going to be good. It is still Man United 1, Chelsea 1 from Lee Sports Village. So that game's coming up towards the last 10 minutes. There you go. John says he said it was 2 years ago. I'm not sure if he was joking. Oh, right. So he said, he's already done it, has he? Oh, right. He did it before, did he? Oh, right, okay. LG says nonsense. Indeed, from us. Yeah, most of it is, to be fair. But anyway, if the team wins, they win, don't they? That's what it's all about. Maybe Rene needs to get some RAF fighter pilots in to look at whatever's going on. Ryan says, need a megaphone. Well, yeah, you need a megaphone, yeah. John says, not nonsense, used by big sports teams. Well, it's nonsense in football, though, isn't it? But anyway, let Arteta crack on what he wants to do. If it's what he needs to do, let him do what he needs to do. And let's hope Renee does what she needs to do tomorrow and Tuesday, gets 2 big wins for the team. That's all we worry about in here. So join me for that tomorrow, 11:45 for the game. It is going to be a good one, but you don't want to miss that. Thank you very, very much indeed for all your comments tonight as well. John says they couldn't hear each other on the pitch. Crowd was too loud. Right. Well, obviously, yeah, that's going to be a problem, isn't it? It's difficult to hear players when I don't see what RAF pilots can do. They can't help you shout from one side of the pitch to the other, can they? I don't know how that's going to work. Anyway, we'll be here tomorrow for the big game, Man City. Of course, we're going to look forward to that because it's going to be great. And don't forget, of course, to join us as well on Thursday. Andreas's vlog will be out as well, probably Wednesday. I'll get that one out when I've got all the clips together and stuff like that. So make sure you watch all of that and watch the Villa one as well. Forget about the game. Don't worry about that. It was rubbish, but the vlog's really good. The 4-match stuff's really good as well. So definitely check that out because that'll be good. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, share, and subscribe, of course, as always. We'll see you tomorrow for the game. Andreas, always a pleasure. Have a good weekend and enjoy the games that's coming up. Of course, have a safe trip over to London again. And we will see you all next week. Come on, you Gunners. Let's do it. Let's do it. See you soon, guys. Take it easy. Thanks for watching.
Bye.